There you go.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Dave McDonald. It's December 21st, 6 p.m. This is our meeting continue from our last meeting last week. We want to welcome everybody on board. This public meeting is being conducted remotely. The following information is provided by members of the public that would like to participate in the meeting. To participate remotely, go to the town website and look up our link and it'll be there for you. I'm kind of condensing this if you notice. From a telephone, dial toll-free at 1-888-475-4499 and enter the web barcode *8899764663663, passcode 9089695. No participant ID is needed and just press the pound sign when asked. Telephone users may dial 9 to speak after joining the meeting. Computer and app users may use the raise hand feature to request to speak. Before we start, I'd like to do the Pledge of Allegiance. John Reynolds, if you can lead us into that.
I pledge allegiance to the flag. You have a flag there, Barbara?
I do not this time.
That's
Oh, we
okay.
can
Didn't use it the last time, so I hadn't done it.
Yeah, we can do it without. Oh, there you go, Dave.
Good
There
job,
you go.
Dave.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, John. Announcements. Barb, do you have any announcements?
That the bills that were sent out in November were due on the 13th of December. If you haven't received yours, to please call the collectors and get a payment in. Demands have already been processed, so get your payment in. We have not met since there was the town meeting, so I just wanted to just remind people that our 3 different articles that we were associated with did pass at the special town meeting on November 16th. Our budget article that increased monies to allow for increased hours for the assistant position, the transfer to capital reserve stabilization and Marshall Park's inclusion in the sewer service area that was put forward by the Parks Commission. And delinquencies have been processed. Anyone who owed money from the last fiscal year, that amount has been transferred over to your tax bill. So if you have that kind of money outstanding, to talk to the collectors because they will need to apply it to taxes. And that's all I have.
Are there many in that category?
Excuse me?
Are there many in that category?
It was about $30,000 worth of back payments due.
Wow.
Wait a bit.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
I think it was less this year though than it has been in prior years. So
I think it was more last year during COVID, if I'm not mistaken. Is that
right.
Barb? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Is there anybody in the waiting room? Let's go to public comment. Is there any public comment from the public? Is there anyone out there, Bob? Because I know
There's
Mr.
nobody
Past-
that I'm seeing in the waiting room.
Okay, there's a meeting coming up. I don't have the information in front of me with the Parks Department in regards to Marshall Park, and maybe Rob, you have any information on that?
So a landscape architectural firm has been hired who has already begun the process of organizing public meetings for public input on future use of the park. So they'll be coming up with a couple of conceptual plans that the Parks Commission will review based on input from the public at these public meetings. And from there, once that's refined, they will be refining a concept for possible uses of the park. So that process is underway.
Okay, I did invite Dave Passios tonight for a public comment. I know there's a meeting coming up. So I did invite him to come and announce that he wanted to make an announcement about Marshall Park. Feel free to come on. So if he's not here, that's fine. Any other public comments? John, you have any?
nope. Just great job on Saturday at the toll booth. It's out for the Salvation Army.
Thank you for that. Mike, any public comment?
Nope, all good. Merry Christmas all.
Brett, any public? Okay. John, I gotta echo your sentiments. I want to thank everybody in Lunenburg for stopping by at the Salvation Army boot drive. We actually broke a record here in Lunenburg for funds raised. We want to congratulate Tom Alonso, the chair, for winning the challenge of the towns. People actually would not give money to my bucket, and they want to give it to Mr. Alonso's bucket, which is fine. John and Mike, I can't thank you guys enough for your support, and Rob also for the use of your cones. And I think you got them all back. I hope. I was going to steal some of them, but again, from the bottom of our hearts at the Salvation Army, just to let you know that we served over 1,200 families. We've collected tons of toys. The outpour has been great for Lunenburg, as it always has. So again, from the bottom of our hearts, and John and Mike, I can't thank you guys enough for supporting us on that day. And I hope you had fun, because it was fun for me as well.
I would just like to add that it was nice to see Todd Dwyer was there, and also Michael Ray also made an appearance, and I think they all enjoyed it. So
You know what? It was a good day. It was a little bit of crisp in the air, and the people were very generous coming through. And again, I can't thank you guys enough for what you did. And the bottom line is, I really don't care about what people think sometimes. I care about what the kids' status is. And believe it or not, we helped an awful lot of kids that day. So that's what means a lot to me, is Mike and John and Brett, as you know, where the money goes, and we see the end results. And I wish some of these people would go and see where these end results are. So, we know where the money went. And again, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you guys for your volunteering. And we made a lot of kids happy on Christmas morning. So I thank you guys for that. Current business.
Thank you, Dave, for all you do.
Bob, thank you too. And Jane, by the way, we missed you last week. So bye.
She tried. It was not for lack of effort.
We got to have Jane talk so she can be on camera during these meetings. So before you leave, Jane, we want you to unmute yourself and wish everybody a Merry Christmas if you could. And thank you for everything you've done for us this year. Again, I went through a lot of our notes today, and it was a tough year, guys, in Lunenburg, and we all did a good job. And Rob and Bob, especially you guys, it was a tough year. And I didn't realize how tough it was until you start looking at everything over the course of the year. But God, we had a tough year, and it was a good year. And I thank you for that. But before we keep on patting everybody on the back, let's talk about the Fitchburg DPW Director Report. Go ahead, Barb.
You mean the Lunenburg DPW Director Report?
that too.
Well, I think Bob needs an assistant, Rob.
So I've got several things here. Most importantly, and I think you've all been sent this, I did the RFP for preliminary sewer design on Upland Eastern Ave, and then White Street White Street. I received 4 proposals from those requests. Wright Pierce, Tata and Howard, Weston Sampson, and Woodard and Curran all submitted a proposal to me. Basically, their proposals were in line with what I was asking for in terms of plans, soil exploration, meetings. So they were all fairly similar. Wright Pierce and Tata Howard were the 2 lowest proposals that came in. Wright Pierce came in at $13,200. Tata and Howard, who the commission's not familiar with unless you've worked with them in the past, but I don't believe you have. They're another company that I've done work with elsewhere. They're very knowledgeable. They came in at $19,800. Woodard and Curran, Weston Sampson was the 3rd low bidder at $42,000, and Woodard and Curran came in as the high bidder at $75,000. So I had 2 that were fairly in line and 2 that were not. So based on the proposals, the soil exploration that was proposed by Wright Pierce, they're proposing 2 days of soil probes for about a total of about 21 probes as we search for ledge, primarily on Upland and Eastern, to get a profile on the ledge. Based on their proposal, what they provided me, I would certainly recommend them. We move forward with them as they were the low bidder, and their proposal was exactly what I asked for.
On that, Rob, are you looking for a vote on that from the commission, or? I would think you should.
I would say for the value, that sure, why not?
Well, I think you should just keep in mind that the budget is allocation should be approved by this commission. So
Yep.
I think we should take a vote on it to okay that allocation for what you want to do.
Yep, so my recommendation is to use Wright Pierce in this preliminary design.
And I'm looking for a motion to accept that recommendation from our DPW director. And Brett's making that motion. So I look for a second on that. Is there a second?
I'll second Brett's motion.
And Mike seconds that.
Brett.
So Brett, thank
Here we
you.
go.
We have a second. Any discussion, John?
Well, I think going with Wright Pierce is the right thing to do. I mean, they are pretty familiar with Lunenburg, and they are the low bid. I guess my only concern, I think I expressed this, is, traditionally, we typically haven't paid for this kind of study before we do a project like this. And I'm just not sure what that means for the future. Do I think we need to do this one? Yeah, I do. But just down the road, I mean, this is a fairly small project, but if we have larger ones, I think historically we don't typically absorb this cost. It's included in the cost of the project if we go forward, right, Barbara?
I think it would be included in the cost should it go forward.
Right.
It would
Okay.
be wrapped
That's
in. I
fine.
think the issue is not spending it usually until we know it's going forward, because then there's
Right.
no guarantee it can
Right.
be reimbursed.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough area. I know that from
Mm.
talking to Bob Proctor a couple times about it. So, so just kind of thinking out loud.
I think they're all good comments. The other thing I like to do is maybe in January, once we get everything behind us, is maybe talk to Rob and have some of these engineers that we dealt with in the past come in and introduce ourselves to them and say hi. And we'd like to get more interest from other companies as well. I think it's time for us to open up the doors a little bit and welcome other competition as well. I mean, that's my opinion, John. You've been here for a while. But I really like.
Competition's always good. Just if I go back to the Lancaster extension, we tried to bring some competition in, and it didn't work out all that well. But that was a whole different situation, really.
Yeah, I think 2020 from 2022 that's coming up, it's going to be kind of a different kind of world out there. And I just think that us as a commission, especially with Brett, Mike and Mike, who haven't met some of these people. I know Mike Knoll has more than Mike Delacos, but it's nice to get everybody in there. And Rob, I don't know what your feelings are. Is, the town of Lunenburg should have a good working relationship with everybody, all our vendors and all our people in it. And sometimes people aren't going to win the bets. At least get them in there competitive. And sometimes in today's world, people just throw a number at it, hoping that it would stick. And Rob, I thank you for going through all that, because it can be a matter of $1,000 to $10,000. And Brett and Mike, I'm sure you've seen that happen in the industry today, is people just like to throw numbers at it. But I think our responsibility to our customers is very important. And the more that we sit down and talk to our vendors and let them know how much we care about them too, I think that helps. Rob, do you have any comments on what I'm trying to say here?
Yeah, no, that's, I think the competition part is fine. I think historically the commission has worked with a few different consultants. And I think the two high bids that I received may or may not be reflective of that in terms of their interest in working with us again. I tried to introduce one new engineer, Tata and Howard, who I'm familiar with, who's kind of in line with Wright Pierce in terms of the size of their firm, that type, which I think is for, at least for this project, is fitting. And as it was, they were the next competitive bid. So I think definitely introducing new blood is good. And at some point, especially Wright Pierce, they were very receptive to this project and very interested in working with the town again. They stressed in their proposal their past relationship with the commission. They talked about their expertise and the fact that they're going to, for this project, they have a PE on staff who was formerly a construction type person who's very knowledgeable in sewer and will be reviewing everything that's going on with this project. So they have a lot to offer, and I think they're interested in working with us. And again, I think that's reflective in their proposal and their cost. So I think at some point, it's probably a good idea to bring a couple of them in and say, hey, if you have thoughts and ideas that for us as a commission and a town and our sewer system, we'd love to hear it, and maybe form some relationships that way. But yeah, I think that's a fine idea.
I'd like to throw the gauntlet down as chair on this date, December 21st of 2021, that next year, I really want to attack our expansion. I want to attack our customer service. I like to fill in customers' needs. I like to fill in on our district where we can get more customers. I want to make a commitment as this commission. I hope you all agree with me that I want to be customer oriented this coming year. I want us to have some fun experiences. I want us to run the business. I want us to all together work together, and let's really rock this town, because people want to come to this town, and I think that we should make it available for everybody. And Rob, I think you and I talked about this, and I want to get the commission involved. And again, in the future, as far as easements, I think that's something we got to look at as well. We got to make it service friendly for our customers within following the guidelines. And we're going to talk about that as we go through, but we do have a motion on the table to accept your proposal. So we just had a discussion, so I'm looking to run a roll call vote. And John, we'll start with you.
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you, Brett. We got a vote from Brett. Mike?
All good.
Okay. And I for myself. So Barbara, let's go with that. Rob, thank you for the work you've done on that. The next thing on our agenda is the American Rescue Plan Act, which was approved by Congress.
Dave?
Dave, I got a few more items for you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So not to interrupt you, my apologies.
No, I thought you were done.
No, we've talked a little bit about the work that was done on Elizabeth Street, addressing the I&I with filling of joints with chemical grout. That work was completed. There were some joints that were filled. They used about 7 gallons of chemical grout. I can't tell you exactly what that means or kind of put it into perspective for you, but I mistakenly had thought they were going to be providing a report. I did get the video of their inspections, which is monotonous to watch, to say the least. So I haven't kind of been through it, but someday I'll fast forward through it and take a look at it. But we will not be getting a report other than we have those videos. We have their bill, which we've paid, which actually came in a little bit less than I thought it would be. Not much, it's right in the ballpark of what it was. But so that project's completed. We can cross that off. Then Barb had been reaching out to both Leominster and Fitchburg as far as setting up a meeting for her and I to get together with the folks who run their wastewater divisions. That didn't pan out for before the holidays. We tried, there were vacations involved. There's been a change in personnel in Fitchburg at the person running the ship there. But I do believe, Barb, we're gonna get back together with them after the holidays and hopefully meet with both of them.
Right.
And then last thing I want to talk about was, this is an oldie but goodie, 384 Mass Ave, that connection. So I had at some point a while back, we received the as-built plan for that. I had gone over it. It was pretty representative of what they had done or what I had understood they had done. I submitted that to Mass DOT to finalize and kind of close out the utility connection application that I opened for that because we thought they needed it. Basically, because the as-built showed they didn't do work in the right-of-way, the state layout, I asked to withdraw that permit application, which they obliged, and so that book has been closed.
And we're talking about, that's the Esposito project.
Yep.
So can we let Mr. Esposito know, send a letter, tell him that it's been closed out, or have you notified him at all?
I haven't personally, but I know Barb approved his drain layers license. I will mention, next time I see him, I will mention it to him. I run into him. He calls once in a while.
No, let's pass it along and it's done, and let's move on with business. What else you got, Rob?
That's it for me.
Okay, any questions on that before we move on, guys? Brett,
No.
you okay? Hope you're not drinking vodka today, Brett. That's a big bottle you got there. Mike, any questions?
Nope.
All right, next thing on the subject, Bob, is it okay if I go forward?
Sure. Sorry, yes.
Don't holler at me. The American Rescue Plan Act, the ARPA funds. This was passed by Congress a month ago. And Bob, you want to give the update on that?
There's not much. The state has not come back, and Rob, correct me if I'm incorrect, but we have not heard that the towns have been informed as to how much and what will be happening. Just, that it has come out of the federal government. It's now waiting on the state.
And that's something that I think we're going to have to look at no matter what. We should make up a wish list. And Bob, we can put that on the agenda for January.
Okay.
Just to let everybody out there know this is what we really need. And Rob, I know you're working with the maintenance program. You probably have a better idea about what some of our needs are mechanically wise.
Yeah, I think the biggest needs will be the pump stations.
Yeah, no, I agree. But unless there's anything else, and that's where I gotta ask the experts of John Reynolds and Mike Knoll and Brett. Mike, do you have any other ideas where we can use money?
We're the experts.
You're the experts
I
on,
kind of agree with Rob. The pump stations to me are the biggest, without a doubt. I mean,
Okay.
that's the bread and butter of it all.
John, what are your,
It's always the pump stations. Every one of them is critical, especially, I mean, what is it? 80% of our sewage goes through Dana Street. So yeah, we need to watch those pump stations,
okay,
and anything we can do to upgrade them would be great.
great. Brett, if you have anything, you can either talk to Rob, or if you have anything important, give me one of these or one of those if are you happy? The only concern I have is the flow meters. We rely so much now on the flow meters. And I would really like to maybe talk about that with you, Rob, in the future. What can we do? Is there any kind of technology with flow meters? Everything changes every day. There's always new technology. But the flow meters is how we're paying bills right now. And
Yep.
I know, and I understand the pumps are important and stuff, but so isn't the bills. So again, that's my opinion too, but I agree with all you guys. The pumps really are a number one priority. And manholes too. I mean, I don't know how we're doing on that.
We got about 10 more done. They're in the manholes themselves. I've got to go back to that report, but I think that the most critical ones have been addressed. But that's a good point too. And I do like your point about the flow meters. If we want to make sure we're accurate, and if there's new and better technology, then it's worth looking into.
We're always looking, anything that we can save $1, we're always looking, but to give our customers a better service as well. Any other questions on that?
Well, while we're on the topic of flow meters, obviously, I&I is related, and I don't know if there's anything we can do about any additional I&I investigation with that money. I mean, everyone's sort of the mindset that the biggest issue is Whalum. This work done in Elizabeth Street, hopefully it'll have some kind of an impact. Only time will tell on that one, but so yeah, I think pump stations, I&I, and the flow meters are the three big issues.
I think the I&I, John, and you've been on this commission for a lot of years. I know Mike and I have been there for a lot of years. And I&I always keeps coming up. And I'll be honest with you, I'm tired of it. I don't want to hear I&I. I want to start now doing something. And if we have an opportunity with the ARPA funds, I would say let's do it, but I think we still should sit down with our counterparts in Leominster. And that's something I want to do first quarter of next year, which will be before March. Sit down with Leominster, and because they're getting the ARPA money as well. And I know talking with the previous administration there, they're upset about Leominster as much as we are. They know that's costing them the money too. So this might be a good opportunity for us to do a marriage and get that thing finally fixed up in that area.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. It's you know what, I don't want to see I don't want to spend any more money on another engineer drawing or recommendation. We know we have the problems and we kind of know where they are, John, unless I'm mistaken. I mean, am I wrong on what I'm trying to say?
No, I think there's been enough studies done that we have a general idea where it is. And I think definitely prior to Rob coming on, we met with several engineers to discuss a project, and they didn't think we had a big I&I problem. But that doesn't change the fact that we have pretty high sewer rates, in part because of I&I. But anyway, it's an ongoing process.
I think sometimes people use, when there's a problem, they don't want to deal with it, so let's do a study. But you can study the thing to
Right.
death. And I think
Right.
on this commission, going into the new year, we know what we got to do. And Rob and Bob, maybe, I don't want to seem out of place, but I think it's time now to stop coming up with this and come up with solutions. And that's my opinion, but Rob, I don't know what you think of it.
Well, there's more recommendations that were made in the studies you did have done. So I have to go back to those and rely on those, and maybe we'll formulate a project if we have ARPA money available that we can use for that.
I mean, I think we got a lot of, and Barbara, I don't know if you throw it in the budget or not, but there's a lot of growth coming into Lunenburg, and it just keeps on coming. I mean, I think right now we're up to what, 12,000 citizens in Lunenburg, and there's a lot of projects on the books. So, and we have no idea what's going on with the 40B. So I think we ought to just take a look at our own backyard and how we can improve service to our customers. But again, you know, I think it's time for us to really start taking a little bit of action. So my question, any questions on that before we move on? Okay, Brett, anything? I love you, man. You're funny. Okay, next one is the grease trap policy. And before we let Bob do that, I just want to tell you a quick story that I was at the new diner in Lunenburg, the Whalen, it's not the Whalen Diner, it's, I apologize for not knowing the name.
Lunenburg Diner.
Lunenburg Diner, a very good establishment. The food was great. I highly recommend everybody go there. And but I was sitting there, and Bob knew about the delinquencies and so on. And as you know, our grease trap policy this year was to have the people fill out the reports to show that the grease traps have been emptied. And while I was sitting there, I met the owner. I told him who I was and that I was the chairman of the sewer commission, and he brought up some good points. And one of the points were something that you guys, I brought up to you, and you maybe have some doubt. Actually, you guys wanted to do, and I had the doubt about what to do with the grease trap policy. And I know Mike and I had enough of the grease trap policy. Mike, if I'm not mistaken, let me know, but it seemed like every year, every meeting was a grease trap policy. But he brought up a point where he has to pay to have the inspections done, which is what the policy was, Barb, if I'm not mistaken. But I sat there and I listened to this gentleman, and why are we charging somebody to do their job? And that is to make sure that the grease trap is empty and that they got to pay a company to come and do it. And if you remember, we canceled all the grease trap fees because of COVID, which was a nice thing on our part to help these restaurants. But now I think we ought to change this into a policy. And you guys recommended this back a few months ago, or maybe 6 months ago. We should drop. Do you guys remember that at all?
Drop what?
The fees of grease trap policies. And I kind of sat there and said, you know, we're bringing in so much money on those. But that the reasoning behind that was to pay for someone that's not doing their jobs. And for example, if you had a restaurant who wasn't emptying their grease trap, we would have to pay to have someone go and do a report on that grease trap. Is that right, John?
I'm not sure I'm completely following you, Dick.
If we, and Bob, maybe you can help me with this, if a policy came in and we had to pay our previous maintenance company to go in and check the grease trap, they charge us for that.
Right.
We pass that fee
Yeah.
along to the user. Go ahead, Bob.
I think originally it was the cost of inspections, whether it was in-house or we were contracting with, when we first started, it was going to be Swiss that went out and made inspections. So it was the cost of trying to monitor. The cost for an annual permit is less if you are in compliance, and we're not sending somebody out, but it was greater if they were non-compliant, just for the in-house, administration, and also if we needed to employ someone to come out.
My question is, maybe we should be looking at it a different way. Maybe we should be saying to those customers, if you don't clean your grease traps, you're gonna get fined, which is what I believe some other departments in town should be doing. Board of Health, for example, they don't do that. But I think to put the burden on the client, not only to empty their grease trap, but to pay for someone to go and do the inspection, I think that's wrong as a business person. I think we should be saying, listen, if you have a restaurant and you don't clean your grease trap by a certain time, then you get fined. And I think you might see that work a lot better. And that's something I just wanted to bounce around with you guys.
Look, I don't have a problem changing that. It just, I think when I first came on the sewer commission, every single meeting for the first year was about grease traps. Because there was a lot of non-compliance. Right now, I think, Barb, correct me if I'm wrong, but the reporting is pretty good. They're getting the grease traps pumped when they're supposed to.
There's a lot of bird dogging. I mean, I am following up. So you do have the administrative part of it. We have not paid for anybody to go out and do inspections. The other, and that's just my one point, is that we do talk about that at any time, an agent of the commission can come and inspect and make sure they have their logs and stuff. And we have not been doing that. So take out the permits and the cost for, not take out the permits, but the regular permit fee. And you may also, are we going to continue to threaten inspections if we're not going to do them?
I would say, and again, as a business, this is what we're doing. Sometimes the cost of doing business is part of that we should absorb. Now, on the other hand, if you have a restaurant who's in compliant, they still pay their fees for sewer. Is that correct? So if I own the restaurant and I gave you all my paperwork all the time, would I still pay a fee for that?
Yes.
That's wrong. That is, to me, is wrong. It's if I'm in compliant and I have a company come, and by the way, there is a shortage of companies, believe it or not, who come out and collect grease. And if I'm following the letter to the law, why am I being penalized because Joe's restaurant over here is not in compliance? So I think we have to look at this and say what's fair across the board. And to me, it would be the opposite, which is what we talked about a while ago. And I kind of took the lead of that's the way it is. But it really is not fair once you think about it. And talking with this business person, he was right. I mean, if he's in compliant, why should he have to pay $400? Is it $400, Bob? I forgot what it was, but whatever it is, to be in compliant. It just doesn't make business sense to me. And it's not making us look like a businessman. What we're doing is we're taking our business and saying, okay, I got an expense here, so I'm going to pass that buck along to everybody, and that's not fair. Then I think that's the part I like to change. And John, I can see you thinking.
Well, I don't mind changing it. I just don't want to end up where we were. I don't know when was I on the sewer commission for the first time, Barbara? Where we were talking about grease traps every single meeting. Because of non-compliance, non-reporting. But I don't have a problem changing it at this point in time. I mean, I think there are some additional costs overhead costs. I mean, Barbara has to manage it. That maybe we can look at reducing it. I think we need to have some further discussion on it.
I think one of the things is, as a commission, and there's four of us here tonight, and I think Mike would agree, is that our job is to oversee the sewer commission and make sure it's profitable for not only the town and our customers, but for what we do. If we do that, and we sit here and talk, and John, I agree with you 1,050%. And I think Mike would agree with you too. It was so stupid to talk about grease traps every meeting, where that's a lack of confidence on our management team. If we make a policy, it's up to Barbara to enforce that, not us. Barbara, and I'm not saying that sarcastically. It's just
You're not smiling, Barbara.
no, it's her job. This is our policy. If you're not getting money, then do something about it. Do the job. If there's a problem with the policy, then we come back and redo it.
Okay. Well, part of the problem is Barbara was spending an awful lot of time managing grease traps. So, every minute Barbara spends time on something is a cost. But again, I'm willing to change that and see how it goes.
Well, I think we would lose, if we do change the policy and do it the other way, I think we would lose $5,000 a year, Bob, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Right, totally wipe it out.
I would totally wipe it out unless they're in violation, then you fine them. I mean, we've done it
Yeah,
for the
it's like
last 2 years.
5,000.
Yeah, and that might be a little less now because we have less restaurants in town than what we did before. But, I mean, but that's just my recommendation. We don't have to make a decision on it tonight. I want you to think about it. But again, and when I took over as chair last year, there's something I said that I just don't want to keep bringing up the same problem. If we keep bringing up the same problem, then we're not doing our jobs either as a commission, I feel. But Rob, do you have any input on this?
I mean, I understand your point in terms of, a fine system versus a fee system for a service that they feel they're not getting. I guess my only input would be is that there's still a cost as a business. There's a cost to implement, the program, which is mostly Barb's time. So I still think an annual fee is justified and appropriate. But I do think it, for me, it could be less. And the fines could include, a monetary fine, and then also, the monetary fine with an inspection, having an inspection done to make sure everything's kosher. So I mean, you could certainly change it. And I can see why, a business owner or a customer would think that.
Mike, what do you think?
The thing with, I mean, going back to those nasty days of grease traps, it all started, I think, that we had no bite and people weren't really taking it serious. There was no consequence, and not maintaining a grease trap is probably like the worst enemy of the sewer department, without a doubt. I mean, it's going to do a lot of damage, and we've spent a lot of money having things jetted out, and that's why some of these fees, that's why we put them in place, so people would take it serious and realize, we have to be serious about grease traps. I mean, I have no problem with giving a fee break or whatever, especially in today's times, but we just got to make sure that people understand how important it is to maintain those traps. I mean, there's a bunch of theories. I personally wish, if a restaurant's being inspected by a department, we'll say, I won't say any names, why can't they be inspecting the grease traps at the same time? Why can't they be looked at? Just a check and balance to make sure that's part of them maintaining their license, in my opinion. But that's discussion down further. I don't want to get to the point where I remember some nights, 11 o'clock at night, still discussing grease traps, and I don't want to go back to that.
And I agree. And that's why I don't want to make a decision on this like tonight, but I think that Barbara, if you can talk to the chair of the Board of Health, and maybe let's have a meeting with them. I can go over and talk to them myself or invite them to one of our meetings. I think we need that advice. And the other scope of it, and Mike will pick on what you just said, is that if you have a person who's neglecting the law, and we do a policy, and this is the law, then we should nail that company. I think that company should pay for everything. So if you have a company who's not doing the grease trap policies, then we're going to charge them. Why should we charge all the other customers who are doing their job? So I think the fees and the fines should be tremendous. In fact, just so you know, in Shrewsbury, when we do inspections out there for the town, they find a guy $10,000 for dumping grease into their sewer. $10,000 is what they find. And I think that's probably the way to go. But think about it. We don't have to make a policy tonight, but I mean, I think it's time for a little bit of discussion on
Yeah,
it.
my only concern there is, Dave, I think the sewer commission is historically has tended to be rather forgiving when potential stiff fines are imposed. So that's just something throwing out there, and we need to be careful.
I don't,
There's no point in having potential fines in place if we don't follow through. In the past, we've sort of tended to, like I said, be somewhat forgiving.
I think once a policy is done, John, and I agree with you, but if someone breaks a policy or breaks a law, and when it comes to fog, I'm very serious about it. We had a person that connected to the town sewer illegally, and I think we imposed that fine pretty well. In fact, didn't we put a lien on a property, bro?
You muted, Barb.
You're muted.
Yeah, you're muted, bro. Still
Sorry,
muted.
it never went that far. It was ended up being paid off.
Okay, so
We
I
were
mean,
unable to lien it. There's a requirement or a state law that precluded that.
so maybe we should talk to Adam and get Adam involved on this too. I just want to get a policy. This is only one of all other policies we have. And for Barb to do some paperwork on things, sometimes you got to look at it as a business, as what is part of the job. And that's all I want to say about this tonight, but maybe throw it on there for maybe not the next meeting, with the meeting after, and think about what we're talking about. That's all. But
Yeah,
we
no,
did
I
talk
think
about-
that's a good idea, Dave. Let's, once again, we're probably spending a lot of time talking about grease traps.
Yeah,
Um,
but this will be
But
the last
let's,
time.
okay, the thoughts and the idea has been planted. Let's all think about it. And like you said, maybe not the next agenda, but the one after that, put it back on.
Not a priority. So when are those grease trap? Go ahead, Barb.
Didn't mean to interrupt you. And I just want to also say that Jane does now come in and works on the grease trap, just keeping up the logs and the compliance with the first Tuesday report. So it's not all just Barb. The other thing is that with the Fitchburg chapter 147 changes, we're going to be looking at several policies. Rob has some ideas. So this will just add grease trap to it and get it all done in the same public hearings, hopefully, and just have a review of some of our policies. So it's going to happen this year for sure.
Okay, sounds good. Rob, you got your hands cut off for you.
Yeah,
Okay, next item is the, Bob, I got two different agendas here. So what's the next item?
And I also just wanted to, for the record, on internal traps, the annual fee, if you're in compliance, is $150, and if you are non-compliant, it's $350. If you have an external interceptor, in compliance is $450 and non-compliant is $650. So those are the numbers that we're actually talking about. First Tuesday reports, we're all set for.
Excuse me one second, Barb, but for this year, we waived all those fees,
Yes.
correct?
Yes, for the last 2 years, we've waived those.
Thank you.
Okay. First Tuesday reports, logs are good. We've gotten everybody in. And just so you know that Dave did have the conversation with Art at the Lunenburg Diner, and we are all set with him. He's submitted everything we need to. So that's what I had. The next one was Vittler's licensing with the select board. We communicated back and forth with them. And we have everybody all in compliance as far as we're concerned. The only one we are waiting is Crossroads Plaza. We're hoping still for an external pump out report, which I've been unable to receive. I've received the invoice, so I know that it has been done, which is the greatest of concerns. But as far as submitting the report that we asked them to submit, we have not yet gotten it. So that was the Vittler's licensing that the select board goes through in December.
Okay.
And then the next one, is there anything on that one?
Guys,
Was
any
the-
questions?
Where the heck did the word Vittler's come from?
I don't know. It's spelled VICTU, so
Right.
victualler. I don't know. Long ago and far away in the taverns of old.
You can go on the selectmen meeting tonight and ask them. They're on at 7 o'clock. Rob, are you going on a selectmen meeting at all? So we can get you out of here?
I am not tonight, no, I'm good.
We're almost
You
done.
can still get me out of here as fast as you want.
I'm with you, Rob.
Hey, yeah. See,
Me too.
grease traps is causing this meeting to go on for a long time.
Bringing
Memories.
back bad memories,
Bad-
John.
Bad memories, yeah.
We gotta fix that, I'm telling you. Okay, next one, Barb.
The Fitchburg sewer use ordinance, Rob did mention that Jeff Morosky has left, excuse me, Fitchburg. Tony Maressa is filling in for now, and I'm not sure whether he will be permanent or just the interim. Adam Costa has not yet submitted. He promises them continuously. He was hoping that he would have them by when we were going to meet the 28th. So he was not ready for anything as of now. But once his recommendation, after I talked with him, was he's answering everything he can from the legal standpoint, but some of the questions that Fitchburg is asking for, he believes should be answered by someone with the technical knowledge, possibly having a consultant review the items that he cannot confirm and make sure that it is something that the town should include in their regulations. So we're just waiting on Adam to come back, but once he does, then we'll talk about whether we're going to go back to go over to a consultant and have them review, or whether they'd be sent directly to Fitchburg. But it's all pending whatever Adam submits.
Okay,
Okay.
second quarter commitments.
Yep, for the Q2 billing went out at 266, 302.46. I do have my usual commitment and warrant for your signatures. If I could get a verbal approval of it, then I can at least advise the accountant and the collector's office that you have approved the commitment. But if you can stop by the office at some point and sign the document at your
Well,
earliest convenience, that would help.
Why don't we take a vote on it now so we can get it
Yep.
processed? So I'm looking for a motion to accept the second quarter commitment for $266,302.46.
So motioned.
Looking for a second.
Second that motion.
Brett was up before you, Mike. Discussion.
Good job, Brett.
They're funny, Brett. I see no discussion. Roll call vote. None.
Aye.
Brett's an aye. Mike?
Aye.
And an aye for myself, Rob. And if you want, I can come and sign that if you want.
I'll leave it right out.
Does that one just need Dave's signature or everyone's signature?
That's one where you sign 2 sheets of paper.
Okay,
So it does require,
Yeah.
right, we've had a whole year's worth of verbal approvals that I think
Right.
I've had people coming in to sign, but at any time that you can, it's helpful to get it done for the record.
Plus, you should stop in and say hi to Barb and Rob and Jane and wish them a Merry Christmas.
I don't know, you guys still COVID free?
Yes.
PW? That wasn't
Okay.
nice.
I can't believe John, you just said that, but okay. FY 22 budget.
I had sent it out to everybody just for review. It had been updated with the special town meeting changes. We're right on target. Our revenues are a bit ahead at 54%, and our expenses are right where they should be, but also including some of the yearly annual costs that the accountants transfer. So we're doing well.
How are we doing on fuel, by the way, on our budgets? Are we above costs, or how's the fuel working out for us for the pump stations?
Fuel is good. I know that they just topped off the pump stations for the winter. I have not yet received that bill, but it's reasonable. It's not, you know, if the annual budget is 400 and we haven't even met that over the last.
Transfer of delinquents on FY 22 real estate taxes, $30,593. Did we already talk about that?
That I've just had that in my own business manager. We did do that. The process with working with the collector's office to move any of the delinquencies that were left from FY 21. So we were able to move over 30,000 off our books and onto the tax bill. So.
Okay. Any questions on that from anybody? Moving on, I don't have the minutes in front of me, Bob, for 11/19. So maybe you can tell me who was at the meeting that can approve these minutes for,
11/9.
was I?
Mike was not
I
there.
was not there. Yeah, I
Um,
read the minutes, but I was not there.
I was there.
Dave.
Brett was there. Dave, you were there.
So I'll be honest with you, I haven't read them, but I'll approve them if you guys, John, did you read them?
Yeah,
Brett, did you read them? You approve them, Brett? I'm looking for a motion to approve. John,
so a motion to approve the minutes of the 11/9 21 sewer commission meeting.
and I'll abstain from that, so you got the passing vote, Barb, so minutes are approved.
Okay.
Well, wait a minute. You can't abstain, Dave.
Oh, I was there.
Right.
Yeah, no, but I didn't see the meeting.
Mike can't vote.
I
So
didn't see,
it's you, me, and Brett.
I didn't see the minutes though, so
Okay, well then we should probably wait till next.
you want to do that? Bob, can you send me a copy of them? I didn't get those copies.
They were in the package twice.
Okay, so I lost you twice. I didn't see them, so. what do you want
All
me
right.
to-
I
I'm
will send
working
them
on,
to you.
I'm working on two
Well,
separate.
Dave, I can read the minutes into tonight's minutes if you want.
Okay,
I'll just read the whole minutes from 11/9 if you want.
Get raw.
is it a lot?
I'm just
Are
kidding.
you a speed reader, John?
Yeah.
Not with clarity.
Was it a good meeting? I forgot.
They're all
Okay,
good meetings.
When you read the minutes, you'll find out.
okay. So Bob, we'll put those on the next agenda.
Okay.
Actually, do you have minutes for the meeting from last week, or is that just like it never happened?
No, it was never formally
Never
open.
formally opened.
Okay,
Oh.
just checking. Assistant, Barbara's report.
I now have, excuse me, I have a couple Fitchburg invoices because of canceled meetings and delayed meetings. I have the billing for end of September through October 25 was for 15,498.33. And now I also have received from 10/26 through 11/25 the invoice for 18,978.61. And these are the numbers that we have actually provided to Fitchburg, and they have provided me an invoice to match my figures. So I don't have an issue with paying them what I expected to receive. As long as you guys are okay with me putting it through, then I am okay.
Okay, anybody okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Mike?
Yeah, I'm good.
We've also gotten the Lemonster invoice for 119,387.06 for the period June 26 through September 25. Again, we provided them those figures based on the flow meter readings. So they have provided the invoice as I expected. As long as you're okay, I'm okay.
Barbara, I'm okay with that. Do you still do that spreadsheet that Carl developed it compares the quarterly flows. You know what I'm talking about, the spreadsheet?
With the billing,
Right,
I haven't done it for a while. What I need to do is that billing algorithm that the Woodard and Curran, because the
right,
spreadsheet we were using was, it was off
right,
because of Leominster Water and, different
right,
sources
right.
and timing. So I need to do
Okay.
the billing algorithm. So I have not done it
Okay,
for a while. Okay, I
Is
do a
that about-
spreadsheet, which shows historically what the amounts are and how it compares. I do have that. For the same period last year, the amount was 74,265. This year was the 119, but this was also a very rainy
Right.
summer that we had, so I have that. If you're interested, I can send that out.
no, I was just curious. I mean,
Yeah.
I would have expected this year to be higher.
You're right. It's been a lot of precipitation. All right, FY23, the budget season seems to have begun. Heather has put out the date of March 24th for a FinCom. I'm putting it out there too. She's waiting to hear if we are okay with that date. So Dave, I was just concerned whether you were going to be away or if you were going away this year.
You know, that's like, I have no clue. So I would say, let's target it on the 24th and let's all start working on our budgets.
Yep.
And that's something that we should be really, really intensive by the middle of January. Let's
Yep.
get it done this year. And Rob, I think this is going to be the first time you've gone through a whole year of the billing, so you have an idea of what we're looking forward to. It should be a lot easier than we have in the past.
Yeah, hopefully it will be.
But last year was a very good presentation. I mean, I thought everything was right on the money. And, with some of the forecasts we got, I was kind of scared. And I know Mike and I talked about that and it worked out great. So, good jobs to you guys. But yeah, I like to handle on it soon. What about assistant to business manager? What's the assistant town manager working on there? Or the human resource girl, I'm sorry. How are we doing on that?
We are trying to get it reposted now after the special town meeting. It is a 24-hour week and benefited position. I'm not sure. I haven't heard anything from Julie yet about it being posted separately. Rob, have you?
No, I've got to talk to her.
But it is out there. I mean, we are looking for an assistant business director for 23 hours a week, which would be benefited position. So apply to the assistant town manager in the town of Lunenburg for your application. And we'll go from there. And Barb, do you have that letter we talked about? Or is it?
Oh, I was just looking for it. Yeah, actually, I had talked to Dave about it. We were concerned because Julie was just doing some pre-review and not forwarding them on, and I had just expressed my concern. So I had done up a memo from the commission draft, just to Julie from the commission, stating the Sewer Commission respectively request that all resumes received for the assistant to the business manager position be forwarded as soon as received to Rob Oliver and Barb LaFave for review. We also want to get it posted as soon as possible as a 24-hour a week benefited position in the local papers and social networks that the town uses on a regular basis. So as long as you're okay with me sending that out under your.
Rob, are you okay with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so guys, I'm just looking for, this isn't a formal vote, but just an opinion. But to support what we want to do is see the applications when they come in. Ultimately, the decision will probably is made by the assistant town manager, hopefully with the input of Rob and Barb. And Barb, am I saying that correctly? I think I'm saying that correctly, right?
Mhm.
But these guys want to look and see some of the applications, which I don't blame them, I would too. So if anyone wants to, I could do a formal vote that we send a letter. So why don't we do that? Looking for a motion to send a formal letter to assistant town manager / human resources to have the applicants for this position reviewed by Barbara and Rob.
So motion.
Looking for a second on that. Brett's quick with that thumb, I tell you. Any discussion?
I guess the only question I have is, Barb, it says the sewer commission respectively requests. Do you mean respectfully requests or
I
respective?
think that's a very good point. That's probably why I stumbled right over it. Okay, I will fix it. Thank you, John.
Great grammar, John. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Any other questions? I see none. All in favor? John,
Aye.
Mike,
I,
Brett? And an aye for myself. Bob, I don't think we have any action items, do we?
That I have, no.
We are going to cancel our meeting that was scheduled for next week because we're having this one this week. So our upcoming schedule for the sewer commission activities will be January, it's hard to believe I'm saying this, January 11th, 2022, 6 o'clock. That would be the remote participation. Next meeting after that will be January 25th on 2/22, 6 p.m. at the town hall if it's open. If not, it'll be on a Zoom meeting. I don't know what activities are going to happen over the next few weeks. I'm looking for public comment. Is there any public comment from the public? Seeing none. Any public comment from the board? Let's start with Mr. Reynolds. John,
I guess it's not so much public comment, but the next meeting, will we be discussing the budget, or will that be the second meeting in January?
second meeting in January, so it'll be at the end of the month. And
All
that's
right.
something that we got to look at. Maybe I'd like to get more of input from the commission as well. So maybe Mike and Brett can be spearheading some of these projects and help Bob. Brett, I don't know how you feel about that, just to learn the fundamentals of the budget, what we do, and know where the monies go. But that's something we could talk about on the 11th meeting. Brett, you excited about that? You there,
No
Brett?
thumbs up, huh?
He's got a smile. That's
I see
good.
teeth.
Is he here? Any other public comment, John?
No.
Mike,
Merry Christmas, Lunenburg.
Brett? Rob, do you have any public comment? I never asked you.
No, but just Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Barb?
Same.
Jane?
Merry Christmas.
Jane, you can get off speaker there if you want to say something now.
Hey, Merry Christmas to everybody.
Thank
Merry
you.
Christmas.
The town of Lunenburg, on behalf of the sewer commission, we all want to wish everybody at home a safe and happy holidays. Enjoy your family, give them a hug. It's been a long year for everybody. Be happy. And again, God bless everybody. And thank you for the support. With that, I'll say Merry Christmas and good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good
Thank
night.
you, guys. Have a good night.
Night all.
Bye, Brett.